Hi YouTube. Today I'm going to demonstrate a sequence of neck movements. These are more mobilization exercises than stretches. And so as you go through the sequence, I'd like you to think about moving the neck and not so much stretching the neck. So I'll begin with a little bit of, I'll call it anatomy, but biomechanics of the neck and what the neck can do. I'll turn to my side. And so the neck can forward bend and back bend. This is flexion, where the chin goes down, the throat gets short, and the back of the neck gets longer. We can say that the neck goes from the base of the skull to the C7 vertebrae, cervical 7. So that's considered the last vertebrae of the neck, and then below the occiput on the skull would be your C1, C2 atlas axis. So as the throat gets longer, we can think of this as a back bend of the neck, and the back of the neck gets shorter. Base of the skull is getting closer to C7. So extension or back bending, and flexion or forward folding. A little side note here, many people are stuck in a type of cervical extension or back bend of the neck. That head forward posture, where the chin protrudes beyond the forehead, my chin is further forward than my forehead, right, is a back bend or an extension of the neck. And that happens due to computer use, driving, texting. Texting can sometimes be more of a down, but sometimes it's a down and forward, which is an odd movement. And so many people don't need to exaggerate or accentuate the extension component of the neck anymore. And if you find that you do have that, they say the trick is to press your chin like a doorbell and get it back into place. Who knows? So that was a forward bend and a back bend, or flexion and extension. The neck can rotate to the right, it can rotate to the left, and then the neck can side bend. This is a side bend to the left, where I'm taking the ear towards the collarbone, and then a side bend to the right, where I'm taking the earlobe towards the collarbone. And side bending is called lateral flexion. And so flexion, we just learned, was a forward bend, and lateral would be the side. And so as I rotate one more time, just to show that I'm taking my ear towards my collarbone, and that means my chin is more downwards and the back of the neck is more lengthened. If I were to lift the chin and take the neck into a back bend or extension movement, that would be lateral extension and not lateral flexion. And that can pinch the kind of back side of the neck. And if there's already some sensitivity or injury in your neck, I'd advise you to avoid this movement and stay with lateral flexion. The neck is a little microcosm of the spine. It's a mini spine. And so anything the neck can do, the spine can also do. I find it very useful when teaching people to move their spines to teach them to move their necks first. And it seems that conceptually they can understand the neck and they have more control over it. And then once they understand the concept, they can try to apply it to the spine. And it makes learning spinal movements a bit easier. So these exercises, I'm going to make them circular, and that will allow us to not just go back and forth, to not come back the way we came. And so an example of just coming back the way we came would be rotate to the right, rotate to the left, back and forth. Right? You're just making a straight line. To make that a circular exercise and make it more like Tai Chi, rotate to the right, take the chin down so we have a flexion and rotation, back through the center, and then to neutral. And so if I do that on one side, I'm making kind of a circle, kind of the letter D. It's somewhere between a circle and a square. If I do the opposite side, rotating left, chin towards the collarbone through the center, back to neutral. I'll do that a few times on this side. I've made a circle on the other side, that circle square shape. Now, if you put two circles together, you make an infinity sign, or you make a figure 8. And so if I rotate to the right, down through the center and up, rotate to the left, down through the center and up. Now I have two circles side by side. My breastbone is the midpoint that connects them. And this makes the exercise more fluid, and I believe more effective. You're taking the neck through a greater range of motion, and hopefully getting more blood flow, more energy flow, more nervous system current through the body. Okay, so that was our rotation movement, but as you see, it has some forward bending movement, and it even has a bit of a back bend that to go from the forward fold and lift the head, that here gravity is taking the head down, and so the muscles at the back of the neck do have to work to pull the head back to neutral. And so you are activating and strengthening those muscles even though we're not back bending the neck per se. So now we have the side bend. And so I'm thinking about shortening this right side, right ear towards the collarbone, and then the left side is getting longer. The ear is moving away from the collarbone or shoulder. And then I can come through the center in the same way, and I can do the opposite side. And as you see, if I repeat just the right side a few times, I'm again making that circular shape. It's not a perfect circle, but you get the idea. I'm not going back the way I came. Now the left, I'll repeat the left a few times. I tweaked my neck yesterday, and so I can feel that going to this side is a little tight, and it's even giving me a little bit of nerve sensation here. And so I must have tweaked or pinched a little muscle in there. And when that happens, generally doing a series of these exercises helps a lot. And it will still take a day or two to settle, but this speeds along the healing process. So now I'll do both sides back to back. Right side, left side, down through the center, back to neutral. Yeah, this is the movement pattern that my neck feels a little stiff in, so good that I'm doing this. All right. Now we're going to combine the spinal movements. We can do that in two main ways. In theory, there are more possibilities, but for all intents and purposes, this is what we need to do. So I can take my right ear towards my right collarbone, and then I'm going to rotate to the left. And so if I was doing a yoga pose with my spine, this would be a lot like side angle pose. And at the end, I'll show you some spinal equivalents, and we can build on this, and you'll see what I mean. So left ear towards the collarbone, and then rotating to the right. And then I come through the center, and I lift up. Right ear towards the right collarbone, rotating left, chin through the center, and upwards. Left ear, left collarbone, rotating to the right, chin through center, and up. I'll do each side once more. Right ear, right collarbone, rotating left, through the center, and upwards. Left ear, left collarbone, rotating to the right, through the center, and up. So that was combining the side bend and the rotation. And side bending and rotation have a lot in common, and very often in our yoga poses that use the spine, which I guess is all of them, but the yoga poses that are twists or side bends often have elements of both in them. So again, I'll show that as either in this video or later videos. The other way we can combine them is an opposite side bend. And so I'm going to rotate to the right, and then I'm going to take my left ear towards my left collarbone. And this is a lot like a twisting side angle or a twisting kind of a twisting triangle, but really twisting side angle is the posture that very much does that movement. So I rotate to the left, radial towards the right collarbone, through the center and up. Rotate right, left ear, left collarbone, through the center and up. Rotating left, radial right collarbone, through the center and up. Left ear, rotating right, left ear, left collarbone, through the center and up. And then finally rotating left, right ear, right collarbone, through the center and up. Now I'm going to try to combine all of these into a fluid pattern that makes a figure 8 movement. And so I'm going to begin a rotation to the right and a side bend to the left. And then instead of being staccato, taking it back to center and upwards, I'm just going to rotate to the left there and side bend to the right. And then rotate to the right and side bend to the left. Rotate to the left, side bend to the right. Rotate to the right, side bend to the left. Rotate to the left, side bend to the right. I'm imagining that I have a paintbrush on my chin. And as I go through this movement pattern, I'm drawing an infinity sign or a figure 8 in front of me on the plane that a bow tie would sit. In theory, I could draw an infinity sign like this, up and down, but one movement pattern at a time, eh? So with that paintbrush, I have brush strokes, right? I'm moving in this direction. So I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go back the way I came, and now I've changed the direction of my brush stroke. And it can feel a little awkward to change the direction you're moving, and sometimes it will feel tighter, or you'll start to get more little crackles and pops and Rice Krispies in the neck. In one direction or the other. I'm going to stop again, I'll go back the way I came, do a few cycles like that, stop again, change the direction. The final thing that I'll say here is that sometimes you can find a spot that feels especially tight in the neck. And I think if I change my direction, let's see, right there. So I feel that right about here is where I've tweaked my neck. And so I froze there, and then I can either take the chin up and down a little bit, make that little micro movement. That's helping a little bit. Or I can try to draw a very mini figure 8 in that spot. And that's with my brush stroke in one direction, and then I just changed my brush stroke, and there we go. And now I can feel that that area is starting to thaw, it's starting to release. It's again giving me a little bit of nerve sensation through the back of my arm, my tricep area on the right side. And so, there we go. And then I move through it, sweep it out, flush it out. I like to close my eyes when I do that. It helps me imagine the brush stroke, and it makes you less dizzy. So I'll very quickly show the spinal movement equivalents, and then at some point in the near future, I'll make a video of the spinal movement patterns in a few different positions. Seated is actually nice, included seated in a chair. All these neck exercises can be done seated in a chair. But for filming, the height works better if I'm on the floor. And for the spine, I'm going to bring my fingertips to touch, and that makes a hole between my palms. And I'm going to keep that hole in line with my breastbone. And so here's an example of me not twisting my spine. That hole is now in line with my left chest, my left pec. And I haven't moved my spine at all. I've just shifted my shoulders. I come back to center. If I keep this in line, now I've rotated my spine. This hole is still in line with the center of my chest, more or less. And what's happened is that because I've stayed looking at the camera, I've actually twisted my neck. I'll bring my spine back to neutral, but I won't move my neck. I'm looking to the right. If I rotate my spine again, I'm looking at the camera. If I look at my hands, my neck is neutral and I'm looking straight ahead. I can make this circular by coming forward over the knee, through the center, and upwards. Rotating to the right, again, I'll demonstrate that movement of the neck that happened by looking forward. I can come through the center and upwards. So it is possible to start to combine the spinal movements and the neck movements, but it can get complicated quickly, and so it's good to learn them one at a time. And so let's repeat that pattern, rotating to the right, coming forward as much as comfortable, through the center and upwards. Rotating to the left, forward, through the center and upwards. Right, forward, center and up. Left, forward, center and up. There's a side bend. I'll bring my right elbow towards my right knee. Bring both elbows to both knees and lift up. Left elbow, left knee. This left side is shortened. This right side has gotten longer. Center and up. Right, center, upwards. Left, center, upwards. Right, center, up. Left, center, and up. Seated is nice because the hips are planted, which means I'm forced to move my spine because my hips can't shift. My buttock bones are on the floor. And that means that because I've twisted to the right, the left side of my abdomen got firm. The right side has remained soft. Firm, soft, and the center has some tone to it. When I come forward, the center gets a lot of tone. The right side gets even softer, the left side is still firm. And so with time, you can train your core muscles to engage here. And many people have difficulty engaging one part of the core or another. Often the obliques, the side abdominal muscles, stay engaged. They have trouble relaxing them. And it's difficult to engage the six-pack muscle, the center. Sometimes all of the core muscles are stuck in engagement, and it's hard for people to relax any part of the core. And then other times, no part of the core engages. And so these exercises are a gentle way to teach the core to start to move. So we did our rotation, just like we did with the neck. We did our side bend, just like we did with the neck. And then we can combine them. There's a side bend to the right and a rotation to the left. I talked about this being kind of a side angle pose. Maybe you can see the posture. Seated side angle can come through the center. Left elbow, left knee, rotating to the right. Taking the arm overhead continues and exaggerates the side bend. I'm dropping my left shoulder to further compress the left side, but I'm lengthening the right side and lifting the shoulder through the center and up. I'll do that pattern one more time. Side bending, twisting. It's possible you add the arms, but not required. Side bending, twisting. It's possible to add the arms. And then the last pattern that I showed was a twist, but then the opposite elbow is moving towards the opposite knee. And so we're using the elbow and knee like we did the ear and the collarbone. The elbow is the ear, the knee is the collarbone. And this is a lot like a twisting side angle. Through the center and up. Rotating left, right elbow towards the left knee. If I use the arms, it starts to resemble more of the classical yoga pose. It was a rotation to the right. I'm including the arms, but it's not required, right? This is also a lot like moving towards the bind in a twist. That usually binding involves getting the armpit to the knee. And in this position, I don't think that's going to happen. But in other seated or standing positions, the knee starts closer. And it's possible. So rotating to the left, right elbow towards the knee. I'll include the arms. Come through the center. And up. Give these exercises a try. Don't push them too hard, don't strain. And when coming forward with especially the spine, only go as far as is comfortable. If your butt starts to lift off of the chair, that means you're probably going too far. It could literally look like this. Very small movements. Same thing with the neck. It could just be very small movements. Okay, thank you.